she and I both feel like he's trying to keep her from something, and his background is a little bit kind of in the agency, maybe, or something like that. Is what it seems like. So I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of bickering in the groups as of late. I'm now the mediator. I'm not I'm not contributing to anything. I spend all my time either doing this or mediating between the two, or taking phone calls for someone that wants help, which I don't do.
Right.
I don't do it.
Well, it's impossible to help people in most cases anyway. It's an unfortunate truth, and we're going to dive into it today. We're pushing on a system that we're probably 60 years too late on. And let me expound on that. When criminals get to take over government, they concoct all kind of ways to protect themselves. And what we are witnessing today is the ability for judges to perform mental gymnastics, make contradictory statements that make no common sense, and make illogical conclusions that immunize all parties who cause an injury. And this is so far away from our common law. And it really is. It's disappointing, one, to spend so much money and so much time and so much effort into it, and then have, for you and I personally, with 5 or 6, 7 cases, 5 years into it, we still haven't gotten a ruling. And yet all the major players within America and everywhere else are running around free, footloose and fancy free, while presidents give them pardons.
And no way to hold any of these people accountable. I mean, the judicial system is our way to hold them accountable, and they're not being held accountable.
It's not being done.
I mean, what is our greatest accomplishment, Brandon?
For me, it was
in the law, not what we did for others. Because some of them have had success. But what have you and I written a document as submitted into the court? What's our greatest accomplishment?
Making Shelley D. Dick remove the sign to me. That was the most fulfilling.
Yeah.
That was the most fulfilling for me, that unvaccinated people could walk into a federal courthouse. Secondary to that is, like you said, forcing the court to allow us to e-file.
We got e-filing in the Middle District. Yeah. That's our big accomplishment.
And outside of that, we are at 400 days on that particular case without a ruling?
20-something months.
Yeah. We're almost 2 years without a ruling in that case.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And we're waiting, we're 4 or 5, 6 months waiting on the transcript to be made from the Mississippi and Choctaw Indians to go to the Supreme Court.
Brandy's appeal is now officially 10 months old.
So we should get to see a ruling in that, and maybe that changes my opinion here, but I don't think so.
It would greatly. And Brandy's is the easiest. They allowed a 12B6 motion with a charge from a federal agency. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, you saw what happened with my case in the Fifth. They ignored all the rules.
Yeah,
they don't care about the rule. Even the Fifth Circuit said it didn't matter.
And we're not dealing with facts, evidence, common sense. That's not what we're dealing. We're dealing with ideologues and the complete capitulation of most of the judiciary and lawyers. The overall goal is to, one, stretch you out far enough to where you're, just like for instance, in my case, I have spent my personal money for the last 5 years to the point that I don't have anymore. It's gone. I foresaw that you paying for the Westlaw would benefit everyone within the groups and benefit us, and learning all the law and the legalese and everything else, and learning, reading good case law and shoving it in your cases, and to have judges just ignore it. Like it wasn't even written down, and then watching lawyers that we've gone up against, 15 to 16 lawyers at this time, and the junk that they put on paper especially the federal, the lawyers for the federal judge. The stuff they put on paper, this is open and shut.
Changing case law.
But yes.
Changing the word of case law,
yeah.
and no one cares. No one cares.
Catching these attorneys commit writing frivolous writings, lying to the judge, misleading the judge, and then never getting any retribution by way of sanction or anything else. It's pathetic. It is it's beyond the pale, because it makes you realize, once you have the experience inside the judiciary, that it is corrupt to the core, and that the Anglo-Saxon common law, which is the thread that binds us together in a democracy, in a constitutional republic, is we have to be able to have access to the courts to hold accountable those officers and officials that do wrong. And at this point in time, we have a biological warfare event that started to transpire in 2019, and not one person has been hung and quartered.
I only hear people talk about maybe holding someone accountable. Like, we're not even close to that.
Yeah, we're not even close.
We're 5 years in.
5 years.
5 years in. We're about to do it again.
Yes.
And we can't get a ruling whether it was allowed the first time.
Well, and this is something big too that Gary and I hypothesized about 2 years ago, is that my last YouTube video, just to tie this thought together, my last YouTube video, I was very concerned with how easily people were going back to sleep on account of politics. And it really bothered me to watch people that I'm aware know better, but to put their hope into something as asinine, vague as Republican versus Democrat. And here we are again. The spoonful of sugar has been handed to people, and it's going to be used against them. And I'm very much aware that the same idiot that did the 2019 warp speed and everything else is back in the office, and not one Fauci, not one governor, not one mayor has gone to prison for what they did for 3 years to the American people.
Well, all the fanatics out there are going to say, "Well, it's coming. It's right around the corner."
Yeah, well, that's pie in the sky hope, but the truth of the matter is that when you walk into the judicial system at this day and age, and look, if you do your research and you follow the creation of the Bar Association, Louis Brandeis, and that whole little time period right there between 1890 and 1913, they had a plan, and that plan was to infiltrate and subvert every American institution. And I have to say, they have done a pretty damn good job of it.
Do you think that, and this doesn't go for the people defending themselves in criminal cases, but as far as the plaintiffs go in our groups, do you think all this was a big psyop? Because it has the makings of, like, oh, some hopium, and then maybe we point to a few people that have had success, and now we get involved. We have spent all this time, we spent all this effort. Now, look, I'm not saying the education wasn't worth it. The education alone was worth it, but
it's worth it.
But is it worth, continuing on? Because to me, and I'm not going to be afraid to say this, because I'm not the only one that thinks this, first of all. And second of all, I owe it to the people here to ask this question. I don't believe that Steve Emerson won anything.
I don't know if I believe that either.
And I can't prove it. Everyone seems to avoid the question and just like pretend, let's dodge around it. And I have too. I'm guilty of the same. And even using his, huge win to sell it to other people. But was that just set in place to get a bunch of followers in our Telegram group and to waste all our time and effort and money and down something that is taking away from us spending time on ourselves?
Right.
getting us right in the spiritual sense, which may be very essential right around the corner here. And so I don't know. I mean, if, I called Steve almost every day I was in Florida, straight to voicemail.
Right.
Straight to voicemail. Benny lives right down the way doing property taxes. Doesn't he say he helps his neighbors and wanted to help that? Benny can't get him on the phone. He doesn't want to help Benny. And so I think we have to ask these questions right now, because if somebody wants to come on and prove that, great. If somebody doesn't, then that says something too, doesn't it?
Well, with your property taxes and your income tax, if you're going to have a line of demarcation that you're not going to draw it back to a common denominator, which is the institution of the Federal Reserve Bank, then there's no point talking about property taxes, income taxes, or any other tax. The advent of usury into the American market and the advent of the Federal Reserve, Rothschild, Warburg, Lazar Bank, was the end of America's sovereignty, because that is the deep state. And the administrative state set up next to it, its primary goal and purpose is to protect the interest of the Federal Reserve Bank. And so you cannot separate these two issues. They're not going to be separated. The judiciary has, at this time, not ruled once against the unconstitutional creation of this bank. It's unconstitutional. Only Congress has the right to issue coin.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I'm just saying. So it's unconstitutional from the get-go. Congress didn't have the power to delegate. This is a delegation of power. Congress has no authority to delegate its issue of coin to another entity. And therefore, so in 1913, you have property taxes and income taxes. You're not going to separate these issues. And to circle back around to what you just said, I have felt it for the last 4 or 5 months when I recognized that we weren't going to get a ruling in one of these cases anytime soon. And yet I went back in my bank statements, and I'd spent $60,000 of my hard-earned money down this route. Now, will I say it's a complete waste of time? No, because we've helped people along the way, but we've also gave people false hope that we have probably 1 in every 1,000 judges use actual logic and reason like we would hope to see setting. That is way too low of a percentage to go telling people that this is the route that's going to help us. Way too low. It's sending most people out there to do like you and I have done, spend 6 years of your life or 5 years of your life working tooth and nail and spending every dime you got to fight a system that is inimical to your interest. And therefore, I would say that, yes, on one avenue, we got people to save their jobs. We stopped the harassment, and we did great things. However, we are at year number 5, and outside of winning $20,000, $30,000 here and doing private stuff. Now, if you've got private issues like your HOAs and stuff like this is perfect. You need this information. Everybody should have some knowledge of the judicial system, the common law. At some point, we're going to return back to a society that you need to know these things. So I'm not saying the education isn't important. That's false. I would never give up the education that I have in this now. But what I will say is that the nature of the beast and how big the beast is, and that'll include the entire judicial, legislative, and executive branches of government, is far beyond. We literally live in a time and period where we know, you and I know, your neighbors know, the common everyday man knows that decided to go out and take the vaccine and now can't walk anymore because they're so severely injured is that we are actually biological test subjects for one of the worst scams in history, and here we are. Here we are 5 years later, and nothing. So it begs the question. And look, you have great lawyer groups, Institute for Justice, and they're still trying to get the Supreme Court to rule on some of these things. My hypothesis is, as of 5-6 months ago, that they're going to string it all out to the next one. And I hope to God I am wrong. I would love to be wrong, but I don't. The goal, just like Otto Kahn, the investment banker, stated back in the 1940s, the goal of international capitalism and international communism are both one and the same, and that is to dispossess you from your home. And you can't do that without the international bank. So you have the social aspect from the top, and you have the monetary aspect from the bottom. So you create social discourse from the bottom through the education system, and you privatize through public partnerships the monetary policy. And
so why would you rule on property taxes properly when you own stock in pharmaceutical companies? When you own, and you're not, because you can be bought.
That's right.
And it costs them nothing to buy these people.
Nothing. All you have to do is look in your local government, and it's you trade out one criminal for the next. That's it. You trade out one criminal for the next. And the reason that can happen, and it will continue to happen, and it will not stop happening, is because you have a monetary policy set in place that can write entries on the ledger, create value at no cost through the most unnatural thing ever devised, and that's money magic, money creating money. And therefore, you will never have the ability to stop what they can do. They can fund every endeavor they want, every single one. And what can you do about it? Because men, through avarice and greed, are able to be bought and paid for.
Well, there's only one thing to do: stop using the money.
That's right. And that's, it's
stop producing for these people.
That's right.
Demand payment in something else, because as long as you're demanding payment in the dollar that was lent to the Treasury for $1 and a penny, you'll never be able to pay it back. And we have $36 trillion with the big boogeyman, whatever it is.
It's a lot more.
Plus the unfunded liabilities, which are probably $300 trillion, and they estimate the worth of America $226 or something like that. The land cost or something. And no, it's. I mean, let's talk about how we got started. What do you think the deal was when the Treasury decided to farm out, to privatize money making? How do you think that worked?
Well, it was a plan, and it was a long tooth plan, and it really was. So they had the first 5 banks. It was Andrew Jackson that run them back out. And for 71 years, they plotted to get it back. It took 71 years to get it back. But again, you and I look at this place in a much different perspective than the materialist does. Okay, and the materialist looks at it as in consummation of power and wealth, and get as much done here on this earth, within this earthly kingdom, before death, right? And where our goal here is inner transformation. That's why we believe in Christ's principles, the idea of Christ and things of that nature, is we're steadily trying to improve ourselves. That's not how the world's major religion works. And I'll say this now. Just about all of Christianity is Judaized beyond the point of recognition. First off, and Judaism is the basis and foundation of the world's dialectical materialistic idea, whether it's Karl Marx's communist atheism, or whether it's Moses Hess political Zionism, or if it's the Rothschilds banking dynasty and the monetary policy. You'll find all 3 of these ideas plastered throughout society. And it is based on a materialistic worldview and utopianism, right? If we get the right social structures, the right political structures,
elect the right people,
and the right people, we're going to bring about the utopia. Well, it's all based on Judaism, okay? And whether people want to accept that or not, that's their own problem. But I just named you 3 people that you can go look at, and that is the basis of everything wrong in modern society, where values can be shifted to fit personal objectives. Well, that's called personal Marxism, right? Honor, integrity, perseverance, your 4 cardinal virtues, things of that nature, fortitude. These really hold no water because you can switch whenever you want, as long as you gain from self-interest. And that's the perfect dichotomy to the Christian principle. However, with that said, we are living inside this society right now, and to sit here 5 years later and act like, or even put on a fake face and act like that there's for sure answers within the judiciary is a bold-faced lie. And that's neither how I've carried myself or you've carried yourself ever, Gary. My personal opinion is that the judiciary is corrupt beyond salvation.
Is America?
I think America's corrupt beyond.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, short of an uprising, a revolution in the street tomorrow, and I don't mean violence. But a demand that we will not do anything else to further this country's productivity until some changes are made.
Yeah.
That's the only way forward. Unity in I don't know, but go ahead.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see it at this time. I see infiltration. And look, I've only been back on social media for maybe 6 months, 7 months tops, and I just sent Gary some of the work that I've been doing. And look, anybody out there that's part of the Big Sib YouTube channel, I've got some stuff coming up on the Big Sib YouTube channel that's going to rock people's socks off. I've been working on other stuff, like always. And because we'll go back to this concept that I just laid down about being able to fund every endeavor and move things any way you want, that there's a simple adage, you simply follow the money. Well, I've been following the money for the last few months in all to what I will call the narrative arc network. And it's your gatekeepers and everything else. And it's more than that. The money behind these people that are able to sustain entire movements, the Alex Joneses, the Candace Owens, the cat turds on X and things of that nature, the DC Dranos, Jack Posobics, it goes on and on, Jimmy Dores, it doesn't matter. They're all tied into the same octopus and money networks to control the narrative arc from ever getting to the one problem none of them will discuss.
Right, the money.
The money.
Yeah, and so they all get paid enough to hire these nice producers, make everything look all nice on thing, make them sound nice.
Yeah.
And what most people won't flip on otherwise. Like this, for instance. We've gotten better, but I mean, I don't have the money to go out and buy all the equipment that they have. Mm-hmm. And so they just have this funding mechanism that just, oh, well, we're going to produce the best stuff. We're going to talk about 90% truth and a little bit of 10% disinformation.
Yeah.
Just to seed the lies and let them grow the tares amongst the wheat, and make it undistinguishable between at harvest time.
That's right. And look, it's if you go back in history and you're a true historian and you watch when the coin is corrupted, it doesn't matter where. Once usury is installed, an oligarchy is in place. And I don't think people understand that completely. And what people revert back to is tribal instinct. Okay. And
an oligarchy is
complete control
by
one tribe.
Right. A very small number of people.
So as soon as it's instituted, you've got to rule by oligarchy. And so people get pissed off, and you can name them different things. But here the thing is, as soon as the Rothschilds, Warburg, Schiffs, and Lazars, and everybody else got complete control of America's coin, that was it.
And how'd they do that? Let's talk about that for 1 second, because it's an interesting story. There were a number of these. Let's just say there were 10 people that were in favor of starting this bank.
Oh, they had the damn vote without anybody there. There wasn't even a quorum.
Right, right. But how'd they get rid of them? They all booked passage on the Titanic.
Yeah.
Which if you want to go into, it may not be the Titanic. It may be a sister ship that was damaged and all this other stuff. But they all booked passage on the Titanic to come over here to go to Jekyll Island to off the coast of Georgia to begin this whole the Fed. And what happened to the Titanic? It sunk. And the only ones that were going to that meeting in Jekyll Island were the ones opposed to the Fed.
That's right.
The ones that are in favor of the Fed all canceled their travel on the Titanic hours before they left. And this has happened time and time again throughout history.
We've been false flagged like this. And look, any leader in the 20th and 21st century that opposed central banking has been murdered. That includes Gaddafi. It includes Hitler. I've got a great quote from the Chaboskoy, Winston Churchill. The moment that Hitler ran the bank out of Germany, that was it. War must come, because you can't. So in order for a ruling oligarchy to remain in place, that means no one else can have a tribe, can have consciousness and awareness, and you can't be nationalistic. You can't have patriotism.
Well, you can't have access to the free money they have.
That's right.
We can't have that.
So anyway, with that all said, that's what I've been working on the last few months, and it's very. I sit here with a heavy heart after putting so much effort, time, money. Very disgusted when I finally told Gary we were going to stop paying for Westlaw. When was that, Gary? August or somewhere around there?
July, August, something like that.
And I went back, of course.
Actually, you were waiting on me to say it.
Well,
you were ready about a month before me, and I just said, Brandon, I don't think I can afford this anymore. And it's because I couldn't afford to contribute any longer. So I had to ask him, like, hey, either you're going to have to pay for this or we're not going to be able to do it. And he said, turn it off. Yeah.
Well, of course, the same month my camp gets hit with the hurricane, which I haven't been able to fix yet. But nonetheless, that's neither here.
Well, it is, but.
Yeah. Maybe Brandy's case is the saving grace here. But nonetheless, there's absolutely no reason why anyone could file a federal court case and 5 years later still be sitting on those court cases. This is I'm sorry, folks. I'm a realist in that I have to accept the facts and evidence and then reasonably infer from there a strong opinion that is based on facts. And I'm sorry, I just have to state unequivocally that for the most part, the American judicial system is bankrupt morally. It's just done.
Well, there's no reason it should take more than about 3 months to tell you that you can put a sign in the courthouse that everyone needs a mask and a vaccine.
That's right.
Now, either you can or you can't. I shouldn't even have to put case law in that.
No.
It should be a written Post-it note to the judge. Hey,
take it down.
Take it down.
You don't have this authority.
Right.
Right. I mean,
but that's not what we've seen.
It's in black and white, 1789 Judiciary Act. We know that the judge did a non-judicial decision. Well, how hard is this? We know that, for a matter of fact, that people telling you, blackmailing you and extorting you to put a emergency use authorized drug in. It doesn't matter what drug it was. Let's just take that out of the picture too. That a private company telling you they have complete interest and control of your body is a violation of the principles of life, liberty, and property. These aren't complicated concepts, and yet we have judges ruling, doing mental gymnastics, granting complete ownership,
and U.S. attorneys, arguing against the Constitution.
Yeah, and so I'm very displeased with the entire state of the lawyers' guilds and the judiciary. Very displeased.
Well, there's nothing to say in their favor.
No, nothing. There's absolutely nothing I can say about any of them that would shine a glowing reveal upon them, glowing light. Absolutely nothing. And look, contrary to most people, they might face 2 or 3 lawyers in their entire life. We're upwards of 16 and 17. And not one of them would stand on the ground and tell the truth. They'd rather climb a tree and tell a lie. And that's pretty indicative of your the entire business built up around law. Yeah. So it's if you've got money, got a bunch of it, and you've got the time, it's probably a fruitful endeavor. If you're someone like us, and as inflation continues to go up and everything else from the control of the banks, right? It's one of the ways they dispossess you from your property. And
they're either gonna increase property taxes, increase your insurance, which is the reverse of property tax. Is basically what that is, which they're not going to pay even if there's something damaged. So, like, my parents' fire insurance this year went up to $8,000.
Yeah,
that's almost $1,000. They pay more in insurance per month than they do on the mortgage on their home.
Right. No, and there's so many clauses in the insurance written,
and you have to have it if you have a mortgage on your home.
Yeah.
And who dictates that?
Yeah.
So there's no way out. There's no way out because the judges won't rule on these things.
No.
They're going to throw your case out or find some mental gymnastic to say, make some bad precedent. And then you're going to try to go to the Supreme Court, which let's just say the Supreme Court is acting, on behalf of the Republic. Let's just say they are. And that's a big if.
Yeah.
Because, there's plenty of things they could have done to help us out.
Oh, yeah.
Before now. The Brunson case or anything like that.
Right.
Let's just assume that they are acting on. Then you have to get their limited window of how many cases they want to bring, and from what I understand now, it'll cost you probably $3,000 to $6,000 just to get the printing done.
Yeah.
You need to submit it to them for them to probably throw it away.
Right. Yeah, because none of the key issues
that is prohibitive of the people bringing a case to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And in fact, most of the pro se cases that they take are informa pauperis, someone in jail.
Yeah.
Not any of us, not any of our concerns.
No, and it's even reading some of the decisions leading up to where we are now, the truth is that the Supreme Court, for most of what Scalia would say was, it's water over the dam. Can't put the genie back in the bottle. But if you read these cases, the eminent domains and everything else, where they continually gave the government more and more and more authority, well, there's an adage for that. Once you give power away, how's the only way to get it back?
Well, they have the guns, and the money.
It's not going to be freely given back. And I would love to see a great ruling like that, but over property taxes and things of that nature, I would love to, because by all rights and all common knowledge about our Anglo system of common law, there's no damn doubt that the ability for a municipality to assess and return your property without knowing anything about it, first and foremost, even by their tax laws, is wrong. Okay.
Well, even if it's their intent to eventually get around to it, it's taking too long.
Yes.
And there won't be anything left by the time that ruling takes place, which is, I'm sure, by design.
Well, and it's just like normal people like us. Normal people like us, taxes on our homes are all the way up to $20-something thousand a year. That's crazy. That's unsustainable. You go a generation or two from now, and you're talking about $50,000-$60,000 with inflation. So it's impossible to keep up, and we're headed straight towards you'll own nothing and be happy, right?
And we've regulated light bulbs to the point that we can only have blue LED lights, which is what the blue screen is, which is, interrupts your sleep pattern. Then we got the daylight savings time every 6 months, change your circadian rhythm. We can't have refrigerant that is anywhere near affordable. So if you do have a house and you can't afford the property taxes and you can't afford the insurance, then your AC goes out. It's 30 grand.
Mm-hmm.
It's 30 grand to replace an AC unit. So what are you going to do? At what point is this not sustainable to be comfortable in your home?
Yeah, and don't want to make it a total bitch fest, but
but
we're correct. I mean, to just get back on point about where we are judicially and everything else. Look, I'm not going to sell the pipe dream anymore that you're going to go to these courts and you're going to get you're going into these courts to fight and to give your blood, and you may or may not get a ruling anytime soon. You may have the entire executive branch within a town come down, raining down on you, just like Kurt did. And I think that was an eye-opening experience too for me, is to watch that whole episode with Kurt and realize that, just how far the people within a criminal organization are willing to go to shut you up. Now, I'm not saying people like Kurt or myself are not fully aware of the consequences and repercussions of what we've done. It's always been part of the game when we decided to say no. But I also can't be out here in good conscience telling every old lady, and every John out there that this is a good avenue to go, when these are the consequences that you may face.
Well, so Kurt's a little bit different. Like I said, I think we have to separate the people that are being defendants from the people that are plaintiffs.
Yeah.
So we're plaintiffs.
Yeah.
We don't have any.
Well, and he's in the criminal. And
right.
One thing they've done on the criminal side
and family court.
That's right. Is open every avenue, because they want the criminals on the streets.
Yeah. Right.
They don't want the crazies and the cuckoos. And that's part of the plan too, is to have you integrated with all the criminal aspects of society. And that's they don't want a high trust society. They want that to disappear.
Makes sense. I mean, it's just easier to rule that way.
That's right.
So, I don't know what to tell you. So, if, like I said, though, the people that are defendants, that are defending criminal stuff, the people in family court, we got to get rid of family court. Family court's got to go. There's no reason for family court to exist.
I've helped a lot of people. I've helped a lot of people get their money with the wills. I helped a lot of people in family court. I helped a lot of people in criminal court with simple stuff. What Gary and I are specifically talking about is the big stuff. These things that matter, that would fundamentally change how the executive branch operates the administrative state, where they're just not happening.
No, because who controls the laws of this nation?
Yeah.
The people that own the money.
Right. It has been 2 years since we filed that lawsuit.
Yeah.
In February, what?
No, it's been 2 years since the motion to dismiss
I know.
has been completed.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, man. See, and the time goes so freaking fast. You don't even realize it.
That's right. You don't. And so, what do you think about, Brandon, I know you haven't been too active in the Telegram groups, and nor have I. I got to tell you, I only have so much creative energy every week.
Yeah.
And, between trying to read any law, which I haven't done in a couple of months now, for the most part, this takes my creative energy, and I think it's a service at some point, but if it's paying for itself, it's barely.
Yeah.
And I'm probably losing a little bit every month. And finding new people to bring in, the people that I do, the group treats them so terribly that they just leave instead of hashing out real ideas.
Right.
That we could make a difference and trying to unify people. We're dividing people.
Yeah, because that seems to be, and I'll get back to this, just like the work that I've done the last month or two on the Narrative Arc Network and the Wellness Company. It's, the purpose serves twofold, because now you have to distrust everybody. And it's almost instinctive into our interactions with everybody that everybody must have a dark agenda. No, that's not the case. That's not the case for anyone that's not affiliated. 90% of the people that you've brought onto this program aren't affiliated with some company somewhere. They're not getting back. The people I'm talking about have their own shows. They're well put together, and they go from 0 subscribers to 1 million overnight. For instance, there's a new one, the Sean Ryan CIA guy. He's being pushed left and right by the algorithms. These are well recognizable. It's the people that don't get the spotlight that have to come on little shows like this that you probably need to pay attention to. Everybody's ideas aren't stupid.
Oh, but he's in hiding after the last one. He's worried they're coming after him after he.
Whatever. He was so worried about being in hiding, he posted it on X.
Yeah, right. And so what I'm saying here is, look, a lot of people in our group have spent a lot of time, and they're very knowledgeable about the law. And so anyone that comes in with any new ideas, yes, their skill level is so much higher. They just dismiss these people from the get-go.
Yeah.
But fail to realize that they're not making any progress.
Right.
And so I'm not going to continue spinning my wheels, or I'm certainly not going to initiate any new actions.
No.
Because there's no remedy to the actions I have. And so what do you think about leaving the chat the way it is, taking the law group, kick everyone out that doesn't have an active pending lawsuit or issue,
and let the chat be the gossip?
Yeah, and because all I get is phone calls about this person did that and that person did this. They kicked me out of the group. I need to come back in, and I'm sitting there trying to mediate, being the peacemaker. For people that I've went and built a relationship with. And look, in some aspects, I'm talking about the Zach thing, but it's not just that. It's been time after time after time. These are 5 or 6. The guy that won in Nebraska.
Yeah.
They threw him out. He won. And they're like, no, your ideas are crap.
Yeah.
What? No, these people are thinking with new ideas and fresh ideas, and we have to either build unity or just stop doing this.
Yeah.
So my idea is to throw everybody out of the law group that doesn't have a stamped, certified filing with some clerk. somewhere.
Well, and here's my take. I stopped going to the Telegram groups for one thing and one reason only. If I were to stay in there, it would have me so far off center that I couldn't do the work that I enjoy to do. And what do I mean by that? I've always, I'm a philosopher first, spiritual first, and then everything else comes secondary. So when things start getting me to the point to like Gary feels right now, I'll just let it go. That's how I feel about it. It's not worth to get, for example, on New Year, no, it was Christmas Eve. I got 2 phone calls on Christmas Eve about emergencies with people's. It's Christmas Eve. I got children. People don't think about that. You know, it sucks about being a public persona is because people see you all the time and they think they intimately know you and what's going on. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with this letting the Big Sip Law Group just become actual law group and not being what it has become because it became too much.
Well, the reason I was so strict in the beginning in the law group is because I didn't want to read all that.
Yeah.
If you have a pertinent issue, you need to state it succinctly and it be answered and we move on. This follow-up, thank you for doing this and this, we don't need thank yous in there. Yeah. we don't. I don't need to read thank you. We got it. We're all there helping for a reason. And so that's why I was, and now we're just, it's just so far
it's
off.
Too much.
It's too much. You're right. It takes away the peace. And the only reason I've continued to hold the illusion of doing this is because I feel like I've made promises to people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to let them down, but at the same time, like it's not accomplishing any goals. And so it is taking away my peace and it has taken your peace at times. And I don't even help people like you do. Like no, I won't take a call and go do your work for you. Brandon will. Brandon has done that a lot. But I learned a long time ago in other aspects of life that you can't do it. It'll sap everything out of you.
Well, it did, and it made having the knowledge
a burden.
Yeah, it made having the knowledge not a real burden, and because I instinctively want to help people. That's just my nature. It took 2 years of abuse by everybody else before I finally said that's enough. And so what's the only way I can say that's enough?
Everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's no ill will towards anybody else, but I can't be the suffering Messiah for everybody. And I can't be that phone call at 8:00 at night and answer my phone and have somebody, excuse me, people, but just throw a pile of shit at my door and go clean it up.
And it's an emergency.
Yeah.
And my kids are going to go to jail if you don't help me.
And it was just too much of a burden.
Right.
It was so heavy. But with that said, people still are helping each other. So we're not going to close it down completely. And just to pinpoint get a little bit more accurately here, the big issues that we have in front of us as a people, as a nation, the big issues, the biological weapons, loss of life, liberty, and property, our property taxes, our income taxes, the slow trickle effect of dispossessing us from our generational wealth. And that's what's happening, folks. It's not by accident. None of it's by accident. It's a freaking plan being carried out.
Stopping up all the excess money you have to do anything else other than go to work.
Yeah.
And go home and be tired.
Yeah. And look, nothing's wrong with work. We're creative species. We like to work. But at the age of 40, the money I make now, if I would have made that 20 years ago, I'd be what's called wealthy. And unfortunately, I'm barely scraping by, But that's because now, even if I wanted to eat the goy slop at McDonald's, that's $20 a Happy Meal.
I think it's Soylent Green.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, they want to charge you to kill you now.
Right. Well, that you bring up a good point, and so they tricked us with the universal health care thing.
Yeah.
You go to other countries, for instance, Cuba, and you read the ingredients in a product. Guess what? If it's French fries, there's two ingredients. It's French fries and salt. You go to McDonald's. Do you know how many ingredients are in a McDonald's French fry? No, it's not that much, but it's 16 in a French fry.
Yeah.
Now, why do they put all the bad stuff in there? Because we pay for our health care. And it's a business. We can keep you sick, and then you have to eat, and then you become sick again, and then you want to go to the doctor and get more poisons to fix the poison you've already eaten, which will never work. No. And so you go to Cuba, for instance, they have a vested interest in not allowing all this crap into your food, because guess who's paying for it?
Right.
The government is.
Right.
And so to some degree, Canada and Europe are a little bit more like that. Europe doesn't allow a bunch of this other toxic stuff in there. Ozempic, for instance, we're the only country that is allowed to sell Ozempic in. But it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah, people are losing weight.
Wow.
What's going to happen 10 years down the road?
Just quit eating.
Right. Well, easier said than done in some cases, maybe. But, it's just America is different than everyone else. Everyone else. And you just recently went out of the country.
Mm-hmm. And
tell me about that experience.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it very much. I actually, if I had the money, I'd probably buy one of those cabins in Roatan.
Yeah. Did you notice the little more relaxed lifestyle that's going on there?
Yeah.
Did you notice that there's a Vespa? Let's take it for it. There's a Vespa, a 2-seater Vespa, and you see a family of 5 going to get their groceries and the dog on it as well. Yep. Now, if you did that here, you'd be in jail for child endangerment and all kinds of tickets and.
Well, there's really no separation from protectionism, safetyism, and communism. I mean, really, there isn't. But
they're freer in Cuba than they are here.
That's right, they are.
And I know what you're going to say, but you're wrong. I've been there.
Yeah, no, and Roatan was the same way. And by the time I had left after 2 days, I wanted to buy one of those places there.
I want to leave the country too. Yeah. I don't want to be here.
No.
There's only one reason I'm here. My parents are alive and they don't want to leave.
Well, that's and that's what keeps me. But nonetheless, no, they call it abject poverty, but I remember going back when I was a kid living in North Walker, and we were freer then too. But they had to suburbanize all of us to accept living this close to each other instead of having your own property and chickens, hogs, and in your front yard. It's not better this way. We've been commercialized and domesticated like a bunch of farm animals.
Now, the amount of propaganda and pressure that you feel when you cross that border. I mean, I know you weren't gone for that long. I was gone for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And I just dreaded to come.
Well, it's 24/7. You're inundated with it.
Yeah.
And how do I put this to people?
Do you have your insurance card? Did you pay your premium? Did you pay your bill? Did you pay your water bill? They're going to turn it off if you don't. If you turn it off, then, there's a huge reconnect fee that you can't afford anyway. And then,
one of the cool things that I saw there was the people's dryers and stuff ran on natural gas and things. And you'd have a natural gas truck out front, and they were filling up their canisters. Like, that's a service here.
Right.
We bring it to you.
Right.
Anyway.
And so it all goes back to the profit, the money, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Zach is right that when you sign a mortgage contract, there's no consideration. They gave nothing of value to you. And so if a mortgage contract doesn't have the elements of a contract, which we do law here, by the way, it's easy to check out, then it's void ab initio. any element of the contract that doesn't check off makes it void.
Yeah, and the only thing that I could logically deduct is your promise to pay, which would be a promissory note. But again, that money is created right then. You created the value.
Correct. And then they get to multiply that times 10.
Times 10.
Times 10 during fractional banking.
Fractional banking.
To loan out to, quote unquote, supposedly loan out to other people. But in fact, they're
gambling it away. You know what they're doing. That's your derivatives. That's your unfunded liability.
Yeah.
And that's everything else.
Yeah. The last time I looked up Citibank, they owned, don't quote me, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 117 trillion in derivatives.
Yeah.
Folks, that can't be paid back. There's no way that can be paid back.
The entire derivative market right now is over 500 trillion.
Right.
The entire derivative market is over 500 trillion. And all that Bitcoin was another way to hide this funny business anyway.
All the currency in all countries, if you confiscated 100% of the physical currency in all countries, what do you think it would total up to?
I'd say somewhere around 15 trillion.
You hit the nail on the head. You must have known that.
I didn't know that. It's
about 15 trillion.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd say it was. I'd say at least a 50th of what the debt.
That's 40% of our debt.
Yeah.
40% of our debt, which is running on interest, which is now the second largest line item in our budget.
It'll be the first this year.
Oh, the first. Okay. Well, I'm glad we made it to the top.
Yeah, it will be the first. It will be the top line item, and it's over the GDP.
So this allows them to buy the judges. This allows them to buy the criminals. This allows them to fund all these enterprises, start these NGOs, and bring in God knows who across the southern border.
And
it is the crux of the matter.
Well, yeah, it is the keystone.
It is the keystone.
It is the keystone.
And so I think $15 billion they gave to NGOs to traffic all these people across the border.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you how it's happening in case you don't know. They fly them into Quito, Ecuador, because Ecuador doesn't require a passport to fly into.
Right.
That's why they had to march from Quito across the Darien Gap, which is, by the way, the most intense jungle you've ever seen in your life. I've been down there. You can walk through it, but it is extremely dangerous because of all the drug trafficking, the animals, the conditions down there. And so what has happened is they have two funnels of people that were coming across the border. One was from Quito, Ecuador, which is all the people around the thing. Well, three. Let me say three. Second is the people from South America and Central America that want to come. And I got to tell you, spending all that time down there, I didn't hear one person go, I can't wait to get to America.
Right.
I didn't hear one. So they're incentivizing these people. They're putting out flyers. They're using the non-government agencies to put out the flyers and tell them, we promise you this much money. If you come here, we promise you this for this long. And so, $15,000. That sounds great. I mean, do you know what you can live on in Mexico for $15,000?
They get here and realize
3 years, right? Yeah, they don't realize that. And so, and then there's a Chinese camp.
Yeah,
there's a Chinese camp that the Chinese are funneling people in. It's just south of the Darien Gap, but they take boats around the Darien Gap, which is what most people traveling back and forth do. They take sailboats and go through the Sandbless Islands, I believe, or something like that. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a wonderful journey. But the Chinese give them enough money to travel around there. So now we got everybody. The NGOs are flying into Quito. We got all the Central and South Americans, and then we have the Chinese funneling people. And it's a steady stream, folks.
Yeah,
it's a steady stream crossing the border. Now they don't need to cross the border with anything because we're going to give them everything they need. Well, in fact, we're going to give them the money if they needed to buy guns.
And you bring in population that's why the Indians are being funneled into. You bring in populations that's already acclimated to the caste system and living under.
Which is what Genghis Khan did.
Yes.
This is what Genghis Khan did when he, as far as I know, he started it. It may have been by somebody before him, but when he conquered a city, He took a certain percentage of that city and spread it out across the empire. He took a certain people that was already in the empire and put them in that city.
Yeah.
To integrate them. That's what's being done here. It's not to vote.
Nope.
That's a secondary
issue down the line.
Like, hey, and we also get votes. Great. Yeah. It's also for cheap labor for the Elon Musks of the world. And let's talk about him for a minute. What's happening here?
He's complete con artist. He is.
Well, of course he is. But what's he doing?
Well, he's building the technocracy. Just like his grandfather, who was the
elite. What's a technocracy?
It's ruled by scientific dictatorship, where the experts, which is the science, right, are the ruling clerical class. They are the top of the top. And Elon Musk, if y'all people don't know, grandfather Elon Musk is a Jew, whether people want to believe that or not. Grandfather started the Technocratic Party in Canada, I want to say in 1943, which was an opposing party of the Communist Party. But nonetheless, that's what Elon Musk is. He's a technocrat. So now you got all your big tech bros joining together, which is Musk, Palantir, Peter Thiel, and all these networks to build your digital matrix.
What do technocrats do, Brandon?
What's that?
What do they do?
What do you mean?
What's their method of operandi?
Oh, no.
They track everything.
They
inventory everything.
That's right. So it's just data. It's data, and then they turn around and use that data against you. And that's what all the data retention centers are for. So let's just put this out there. My hypothesis about Elon Musk and the free speech idea was to get everybody back on X and then take in all the data of where people were and how much knowledge were people gaining against this system. And now all of a sudden you see Elon Musk and everybody, we're going for the H-1B visas. We got to bring more people in over here. And the reason for that is to stop organic growth and people actually organizing and uniting against this bull.
Right. And he's going to see it first because it's coming through his feed. Now, there is one exception to this.
Yeah.
There's one exception to the American-owned data mining system. And what is that?
I don't know.
It's TikTok.
Oh yeah, TikTok. That's why they'll get rid of it.
They have to. There's too much knowledge. There's too much knowledge being conveyed through. Now they want to sell you TikTok as being, it's just these, dancing in your pajama pants or whatever.
No, there's a lot of knowledge going on TikTok.
That's right.
I thought TikTok was a complete waste of time too. But I have to say, the younger generation, the younger generation is spitting some knowledge on TikTok.
They are,
but
spiritual and otherwise.
Yeah, I will give them that. And I've watched the last month and a half on X because I did get back on there, and I've watched X, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Peter Thiels, and a bunch of people within the MAGA rip their mask off, and it's for all to see. But make no mistake, again, Musk didn't build a damn thing. And if you think this idiot, and he is an idiot, he's not as intelligent as people think he is. If you think this idiot is not tied into the Department of Defense and legal plunder through Mars, colonizing Mars bullshit, when really all they're building is more rockets and stuff to kill everybody and drones to watch everybody.
Now, he may want to occupy Mars.
He may.
But I don't think Mars is the planet up here that you think it is.
The god of war.
I believe Mars is another piece of land that we don't know about.
Right. They're so full of it.
But yeah. So he's being honest about that, I think. I think he's being honest about that. The rest, like, okay, you got the SpaceX guy who's got, how many satellites in orbit? And he's like, well, if there are aliens here, I think I would know. Well, why has he been completely silent on what's going on right now?
Yeah, he's a bought and paid ass. They receive 1.2. I can't remember the actual number, but he receives. And here's the funny thing about Musk. Musk, because he doesn't even have clearance to know half of his projects going on in sex. But he's Department of Defense funded, Department of State funded. This is a military operation and intelligence apparatus of Mossad and the CIA.
And he's a foreign citizen, right?
Yes.
So, let's go one more topic, and then if it spurs into something else, great. If not, we'll end it. But Trump.
Oh, I can't. I can't stand.
Well, I understand, but what
he's the spoon.
I want to express a couple of ideas here for people to at least watch for. Okay, any good here that you see, anything that you see that follows or closely mimics what Q has told us from 2017 or the Anon movement or whatever that is just going to be to win your trust.
It's conditioning, right? And that's the whole idea behind predictive programming, is to for when it finally does happen, you go ahead and accept it as real, or as how it's been perceived it as real. Look, we're in 5th generation warfare, and what does that actually mean? That means that at all times they are taking every conversation everywhere, and they are able to manipulate large swaths of people through their emotions and passions. Therefore, 5th generation warfare is not on the modern battlefield. It's up here. It's in between the two temples, and you have to understand that's where it's playing out. This is a psychological battle, as it is everything else.
Sitting in the temple, claiming to be God.
That's right, and it is unfortunate. I gave up politics a long time ago. I did. That there was going to be any hope there. And I'm not saying there's absolutely no hope within the judiciary. I'm just telling you where I'm at with it. And maybe we get a good rule and maybe we don't. But I know one thing. I'm not going to spin my wheels on a fruitless endeavor for the next 5 years. I can't.
There's too much to do.
Well, and here's the thing. So people haven't seen me for the last 4 or 5 months. And it's great that I've helped so many people, and I've got the YouTube channel, and I've got all these things. But at the end of the day, back in July, I looked at my sons, and they're 10 and 8. How about I just spend a little time with them?
You were 5 and 3 when we started this.
That's
journey.
Right.
Yeah, Aiden wouldn't even, didn't even really know me because he was so young.
Right.
He does now.
No. And so if you know something doesn't produce any benefits, you have to switch up. And that's where I'm at personally. And
you can't sell it.
Right.
You can't fake it to sell it.
You can't do that.
To make a profit.
That's not who I am.
Now I've been given opportunities to start doing that,
Yeah.
I just can't.
I'm not gonna do it.
I can't.
Not gonna do it.
And this conversation's been a long time coming.
Yeah. It's been on my mind for the last 3 or 4 months. And there's a reason why I haven't done a YouTube video yet, because the next YouTube video that I do is on the Big Sib channel. And look, let me tell y'all something. What really did it for me? As I'm reading these judicial decisions, and I'm reading the lawyers and the contradictory language, and I'm also very well read in Talmud, in the 12 volumes of the Talmud, and what the doctors of law call themselves. And the more I read these decisions, the more case law I read, I became hyper aware that what I was reading was the contradictory language within Talmudic law, and I just couldn't get over that. So what I did was start following Louis Brandeis and the infiltration of the ABA, the American Bar Association, and then I start reading the decisions, of crazy decisions where they narrowed the finding that communists could practice in the United States as long as they didn't cause harm against the United States. These asinine rulings, right, that made zero logical sense, but you knew what had happened, that the judiciary was taken over by ideologues that are completely opposed to the Anglo-Saxon system of law. Now, how do you beat that? Well, that means that they've got to be replaced before you're going to get rulings that are based on the common law. That's really all there is to it. These people have to go down, and yet you have prosecutorial immunity, you got federal officer immunity, you got municipality, you got all these damn immunities that they've given themselves, which are contrary to the Constitution of the United States, which holds them damn responsible for their actions.
Right. But they're the ones interpreting the law.
Yeah, but you don't have to have a list of 5 prerequisites, but you go read every damn statutory law.
Rooker-Feldman, Tax Injunction Act.
It doesn't matter.
The Heck Doctrine.
You got to meet 5 or 6 prerequisites before they're actually guilty.
Right, right.
Look, folks, go read the Talmud. Go read the Doctors of Law and find where this contradictory language comes from. And I'm going to tell you, it makes me sick to read it. I literally want to vomit. I read my daughter's ruling from the judge again a month or so ago. I was showing somebody, and it literally reading this crap makes me sick to my stomach. Just how such intellectual sophistry is displayed, and a lack of general awareness of what is morally acceptable blows my mind. It really does.
Yeah.
And then they got the audacity to get around everywhere like everything's oh freaking K. It's not oh freaking K. It's not oh freaking K by me. I'm sick of it across all fronts.
Yeah, I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of being poisoned. I'm tired of playing their little piece it together game of what attacks took place today and how do we link these cities and how do we? It's all bullshit. New Orleans, whatever happened there,
it's bullshit.
You ain't ever gonna know.
It's bullshit.
And if you do, it's because these people went to jail. So, and if these people went to jail because of that, then it's someone trying to gain your trust to do something much worse to you. That's the game we're in here.
Yeah, no, it is. It's trying to be logical and reasonable and rational in an irrational state is very hard to do. And look, what we've done what we've done, what we applied to ourselves and applied to do is for the betterment of America and mankind. There's no doubt about that what we were trying to do was the right thing to try to do. I think we're just 60 years. I really do. And I pray
maybe 100.
Well, really, Brandeis was put on a bench in 1911, 1912, the creation of the administrative state. 1913 was the creation of the Federal Reserve. 1916, we go to help the Bolsheviks kill the Tsar in Russia. And it's been downhill since.
In 1903, Rockefeller took over education.
1903.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means we get doctors taught by the pharmaceutical companies that engineer experimental drugs that tested on us to what?
And I'll say this. I'll make this even easier for people to understand for why the 1913 Federal Reserve Act is so important. Whenever you create the first monopoly and the oligarchy, from there on out, it's just monopolies. And it takes a long time. It's taken them 100 and something years to monopolize all of society. But if you look at each and every one of the subsidized major markets, that's Amazon, BlackRock, State Truck, you're going to find the same oligarchy. You're going to find the same tribe running it. Okay? Now, people might not want to accept that, but that's a fact.
Well, yeah, BlackRock. Mm-hmm. BlackRock, State Street, and whatever.
Vanguard, the owners of Moderna, the owners of Pfizer. It doesn't matter. It goes all the way through. It's the same oligarchy.
Well, let's touch on one more topic now that you brought that up. It is the oligarchy, but who do they report to someone? You think?
I don't know.
Is it okay? Our government has come out and told us there's quote unquote aliens and whatnot. Look, clearly there are supernatural beings here.
Well,
now whether they're walking among us or not, a whole different story. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
Maybe they conjure them.
Maybe they conjure them, but aren't they the ones really reaping the ultimate benefits here?
Well,
if that's the case,
and if I can go into the deep, and I can conjure pure love, and I can, it's something. It's otherworldly. It's out of this world, and I know it's of God. Nobody else can take that away from me the rest of my life when I go into the deep. Is the flip side in duality world that they can do the same? I would not put it past me. Possibility. Here's the thing: I'm open to anything.
It's sad we have to be open to anything after being formally educated.
Yeah, I'm open to anything. It could be
in the most advanced #1 nation on planet Earth.
I could. My perception can be shifted according to the facts and the evidence. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right.
I can go one way or the other.
Right.
I'm open to that possibility. The only things I do know is the things that I do know, and I just spoke about it.
Yeah, because they were revealed to you from within.
That's right.
But you don't have a dogma that you're going to fight for if the facts and evidence are fly in the face of that.
That's right. I just can't.
Yeah. We're at a point. Anything could happen. Anything could be true.
Well, yeah. And although I am philosophically sound, I am spiritually in tune, I'm still a realist in my interactions with humans.
You have to be.
You have to be. You have to be. I have to accept that we're a Zionist-occupied government. Okay? I have to accept that. That's the facts. You've got AIPAC out here just bragging about how much money we've laundered to Israel and come back to the politicians and that they own all the politicians. I'm sorry. Kay Griggs said it 30 years ago that's a Zionist-occupied government. One of the best videos on YouTube that you can't find anymore. Remember that old blonde-haired lady? I tried to post it. They deleted it instantly. I did. Mm-hmm. I tried to post the Kay Griggs interview that she did concerning her gay husband that was deleted instantly. But nonetheless, that's the real. We are an occupied territory.
All right, you think we've ruffled enough feathers today?
I think we pissed enough people off.
Okay, well,
or made people happy, whichever one.
Well, those interested in the truth heard it today.
Yeah.
Those not interested in the truth or have other agendas, then they might be upset.
God bless you all.
I guess the reactions are going to tell us who's who.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
I can't wait to spend the rest of the day with after we turn this off. All right, folks. Hey, there's the unadulterated truth as we see it. And so
just a fireside chat for real.
A real fireside chat. And so it was a long time coming. I felt guilty for carrying on without having this discussion.
Yeah.
And I couldn't in good conscience move forward without saying these things on camera.
Yeah, and I'm glad we did it together instead of separate.
Yes, it needed to be done together.
Yeah.
Brandon and I, we're never more than a month apart on our thinking. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Sometimes it arrives over there first, sometimes it arrives over here first, but nonetheless,
we catch up.
It's gonna put back there. So that's what we think. Take it or leave it.